Today we're going to study mean, median, mode, and what they are and how it means to you. So what is mean? Sure, it's M-E-A-N, but it's not the type of mean that you would find out in English class or your little sibling that would bother you. Mean in math means average. So, mean. But before we can start it off, we got to actually learn the definition of it. And why it's so important for you to know mean. Mean. So let's change that from a question mark. Let's get the definition of it. Mean. Commonly used to characterize a set of data. Now you wonder what type of data? Well, here it is. Arithmetic mean. What is that word? Well, you must know it's this word. That's just its fancy name. Now, for you want to know what this actually does? It's actually a formula. And we need that formula because it's going to be x bar, x of 1, plus x of 2, plus x of 3, plus x dot dot dot. And these right here are just x to however many numbers you're going to have, plus x of n, all over n. So that you know that it's a formula in your notes, let's put a little box around it. And we're going to put some of these. We're going to write formula. So we know that it's important. At least that's how I always did it in school. My teachers always would say, let's make it stand out. So this is how we make it stand out in our notes. This is the mean formula. There's that word again. Mean formula. This right here, this is if, say, this class had a whole bunch of, say, test scores. We're going to sit here and say, this was your test score for test number 1, test number 2, and then say, oh, you jumped up there. That was your test number 3. Oh, look, you jumped up there again. Test number 4. Then you got this number. Test number 5. I say that's a pretty good little test. But we want to know what your average would be. Well, that's what the mean would be for. So we're going to take all of this, we're going to plug it up here. So let's go ahead and get rid of these. We want to find what your mean was. Okay, so let's find this out. We want to find out what your mean was. Okay, so let's plug in our little formula over here. X bar, 62, plus 62, plus 98, plus 99, plus 100, all over. Now you wonder how this is n. It's going to get this. Well, that's going to be the actual number of how many little x's we were going to have. So we got to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 numbers here. So that's what the n is. 5. So now, we do simple math. We're going to put it in our calculator. It's going to come to 421 all over 5. We're going to do the actual dividing of it. And your mean is going to come to 84.2. There's your average. Not bad considering you got 1, 2, 62s. Not a bad little average. And that's a useful way for you when you sit there and have your test. Not a bad thing to figure it out. That way it keeps you from sitting there asking your teacher, "Teacher, what's my grade?" Well, I don't know. Why don't you keep up with your test scores? That way you're not bothering the teacher 50 million times. So now we move on to the next one. Median. And if you want to know what median is, it's kind of like what the name says. Middle. Figure out what all the middle numbers are. Let's get rid of this. Move on to what the median is. It's kind of like when you're driving. Want to know what the middle of the road is? It's that median, so you don't fall out. Median. Median is the middle number of a group of data sets. Now, there are 2 steps and 2 ways to figure out what the median number is. If n is an odd number, it's going to be the middle. But if n is even, is going to be the mean of the 2 middle numbers. So, for this example, if we had, again, 62, 98, 99, and 100, the median would be this number. But, if say we had this one, let's say we had 62, 70, 72, there we go, 74, 80, which one would be the median? It would be these 2. You have to put these all over 2. You have to do the math on that one. It would wind up being 72. That would be the median. Because right here would be this one, because this one is even. So, be this one. And because this one is odd, it would end up being this one. That is the only 2 ways to wind up finding the median. So you would wind up doing it 1 of 2 ways here. Now, we covered mean, median. Now, we got to cover mode. Now, there are 3 types of modes. I said modes, not mold. Mode is the number that is most frequently used, if there is one. And we also have bimodal. That means there are 2 modes. And then we also have no modes. there's none. Now, the first example, you have 62, 98, 99, and 100. This one, there's only one mold. And it's this one, 62. So it means it is this one. Here we have 62, 62, 90, 95, 95, and 100. That makes this one bimodal, because there are two. And then you have this example. We have 60, 70, 72, 84, and 90. This one has no modes. There's none here. And that can happen. Doesn't mean that the answer would be wrong, because there isn't a mode. Sometimes it just happens. Just like sometimes there are two modes. Sometimes there is just one. Doesn't mean any answer is wrong, because it can fall into one of these three categories. So that now that we've seen mean, median, and mode, let's do one where we have to figure out all three. Here's an example. We have 60, 60, 70, 95, 95, and 100. First one that we have to start with is mean. That would be A. Mean. First step to figuring that out is what is the X bar. So, you do 60 plus 60 plus 70 is 95 plus 95 plus 100. So how many numbers is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All over 6. What does that equal to? 480 over 6 equals 80. That is the answer. Then we move on to the median. Well, since we already figured out that there are 6, means that we're going to have 2 middles. So, means that right here are our 2 middles. So, we're going to have 70 plus 95 over 2 is going to equal 82. And last, but certainly not least, we gotta look. Which ones are our modes? What do we have? Well, what we have is the fact that we have two modes, 60 and 95. Well, we just covered that, and we're going to have bimodals. So, we have 60 and 95 up here. Bimodals, which means we have two. I'll put that down here. Bimodal. $60 and $95. And that is how you set up all of your answers when you complete one of these. As you can see, I've showed every last one of my work so that when you turn in a test, I'll be able to see exactly, if you get something wrong, where you went wrong. Because look, if I sit there and said, okay, right here's my middle. Turn that to a 60. That changes everything. Well, I can see where they went wrong. They counted that right there wrong. I'll sit here and say 95 is there. Count further. Only right here, be minus 1. The whole problem wouldn't be wrong. When you show all of your work, as a teacher, it shows. Plus, we can sit there and determine where exactly you went wrong in your math. It helps us because we're able to sit there and see where the mistake is made. Rather than sit there and say, well, you only gave us 80 for the answer, 60 and 95 for the answer, put an 80 there for the answer. Okay, whole problem's wrong. We don't know where you went wrong. But showing us the whole step, it really helps us. And then now you can sit there and do the work right here and tell us that, okay, right here's your mistake. I'm not going to count your whole problem wrong. But also now you can sit there and keep up with your own grades. And that concludes mean, median, and mode.